Hey ladies, it's me and I'm coming to y'all with an update. I'm hoping I don't wake Symphony up. But okay, so the last time I spoke to y'all, I was telling y'all, I was giving y'all my testimony and what God has been doing. And so before I start work here, I just wanted to go over some things. Let you guys know what happened far as the trial date, okay? The trial was set for October the 25th. And I stayed up on the 24th to like 1 o'clock in the morning on the 25th. And I had to create my whole case and everything. So, my mom meets me. I got Symphony. We're going into the courtroom. And before we go into the courtroom, I see the guardian ad litem. And I'm like, I've already put in a motion to remove you. And he's like, look, look, the judge is going to give you custody and everything, and he's not going to show. Talking about my husband, I mean, he mentioned that last time, and I'm like, I know he's not going to show because he's my husband. I know he's not going to show. One thing about this illness is that when people don't feel like, people who are dealing with bipolar and things like that, when they don't feel like dealing with the world, they don't care who you are, from a judge to a cat. They will turn their backs on you and they will go somewhere else and say, I just don't want to deal with it. So it's not funny, but his own attorneys, he wasn't even showing up for court with his own attorneys. I mean, it was crazy. So when I had put in that motion to remove them, and I said, and make sure that my husband's there, I knew he was not going to show. And so when the guardian ad litem said, he's not going to show, I said, I know that. He's my husband. I know he ain't going to show. But I want you removed. Well, I'm going to agree. I said, I don't care if you agree. I just want you removed because you didn't do your job. And I told him, in the near future, when you are a guardian ad litem, and because I saw in court that he was taking positions like, he was representing some guy, and against the wife, which the wife was Spanish speaking. She didn't understand anything, and I'm looking like, you corrupted thing, and I'm like, this has to change. But anyway, I'm going to get into detail about that, about the whole court system that I've saw and how corrupt it is. So anyway, so I told him to remove himself, and he still thought he was going to waltz up into the court. And so when we got up in there, the judge, she asked about my husband. And I said, look, I don't know where he is. I mean, he doesn't feel like coming. He's not going to come. He don't care about you or anybody else. That's just what he's dealing with right now. And so within 10 minutes, y'all, 10 minutes of me getting into the court, first of all, my landlord wasn't there. My father-in-law wasn't there. He didn't even show. I mean, everything you put me through, he didn't even show. And he was the one who hired these attorneys. So, within 10 minutes of being in the court, the judge saw that they removed the counsel. I said, yeah, I put in a motion to remove them, and they hurried up and tried to remove themselves before getting in front of a judge. And then she said, now see, you want to remove the guardian ad litem? I said, yes. And she said, well, what's the reason? I said, because he didn't do his job. I gave her the whole breakdown. And the guardian ad litem, as soon as I was telling the judge, he didn't do this, he didn't show, he was biased, he knew about the attorney setting me up on both ends. There's a complaint, which is a lawsuit that's going on, and I'm going to sue him too. And then she was like, the whole time while I was talking, it's like he balled up like this little kid and just tried to hide his face, and like I wasn't going to mention it to the judge. No, like, what did you really think you were going to stab me in my back, drag me up in there, use my daughter as bait against me, and then we were just going to be friends when we go in front of a judge? What I found is that the best thing to do is that when people do you wrong, you go before a judge. So this is exactly what happened. Everybody tried to set me up in court, and then I just went before a judge to be like, this is what they're doing. So So anyway, so then he gets up and say, Your Honor, I've never seen anything like this before. She took it to the circuit court and took it down. It was a lot of bickering and all of this other stuff. And so the whole time while he fighting, I'm bringing out all of these emails because I made sure that every time I contact the guardian ad litem, I put everything into an email, even how unprofessional, what he was doing, like everything he was doing was unprofessional, and how he was biased through the beginning. I put everything in an email, so when we have to cross-reference anything, we're going through these emails. And so here go the judge. Do you have any witnesses? I said, I sure do. Are they here now? I said, sure, my mother's right there. She didn't even want to question anymore because she knew, yeah, y'all jumped her on both ends of the case. I can't even, you know. So she was saying to me, well, I don't see why you want to remove him now because he's agreeing with you. And I'm like, I don't care if you agree with me. What's due to me is what's due to me, my daughter. So she decided to keep him on that particular day because the guardian ad litem agreed that I would get, hold on, within 10 minutes, y'all. Within 10 minutes, I have sole legal physical custody of my daughter. And all the visitations are done. There's no visitation orders whatsoever. And if any visitations need to happen, it's to my discretion. And which should have been like that from the very beginning. Because I'm still married, he's still my husband, and that's her daddy. So I'm not going to deny him from not seeing his child. However, we're going to have to, it's going to have to be a certain type of structure. And I'm her mom, I'm going to be there. So yeah. So now that that's done, there's two more things that's going to be taking place. I'm still, so praise God, first of all, because when she started writing that up, and the judge was like, we're going to go ahead and give you this, okay? All right. And we're going to remove him because we see that you have lawsuits that's coming. I'm like, yeah. Yeah, go ahead and write that. But it doesn't stop there, y'all, because I have to look at it and say, Lord, I went through this situation for a reason. I am going to go to, I don't care if I got to go to Congress, if I have to go to my elected officials, but Fairfax, Virginia courts is going to have to change because y'all mess with the wrong one. There are certain things, like I have to take my vitamins, every day, some Macia. There are certain things that I went through that I should have never had to go through. And it did attack my health. In which right now I'm 95% better, but I'm not all the way that better. I mean, I had to go to the emergency room. I dealt with a lot. It was one time, I think 3 weeks before they granted me sole custody of Symphony, she was running a high fever, and we had to go to the doctors, in which I had to reinstate her insurance because when we moved, they cut her insurance off at a certain time, and by the time I was trying to run up in there to tell them, no, do not cut it off, I was 2 days, I was still within the 30 days, but too late. And so I thank God because around that time when she caught the fever, her insurance had reinstated. But that day that she caught that fever, I took her to the hospital 4 o'clock in the morning. And we had to be in court 10 o'clock. So as soon as we got out of the hospital, I'm taking my baby into a courtroom while she's running a fever. Somebody's going to have to pay for that. Somebody's going to need to pay for that. So other than the stress, other than make you feel like you got what is it, PST, PTS? What is it called when the soldiers go off the war and they feel like, I have trust issues now. When there was an incident that had happened and family, what is it called? Child Protective Services had to get involved because of that. And I was so mad because I'm like, I'm going through all of this. Now I got to deal with Child Protective Services. I questioned that lady from top to bottom. And she had to say, look, this is just protocol. I'm like, no, I need to speak to your supervisor. I think it's because if I can't trust the court system and these attorneys, then ain't no way in heck I'm going to trust you. Like, what are you trying to set me up? Are you on their side? She's like, no, I'm not on anyone's side. I mean, it was crazy. It was crazy. But thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Father. I got sole, physical, legal custody of my daughter. So never again will anybody show up at my door and try to take my daughter out of my hands ever again. And I remember some of you ladies leaving comments, Mona, you got to be nice because they're going to use it. This is 2016. You see who in the office right now, right? For real, Trump need to come down here in front of all of these judges and say, you're fired. But let me go back to that, okay? I am really going to be contacting my congressmen, representatives, the district attorney, because the court systems in Virginia are a hot mess. Now, how is it that I can go to ghetto PG County and their courts are a hot mess, they look dirty or whatever, but one thing they do is they tape everything that goes on in that court? Well, Virginia and Fairfax, they don't do it. So when I'm asking for transcripts, one of the clerks was like, "Girl, they don't do transcripts here. You have to pay a stenographer to go in to type up all those things." It's a good thing that I got a lot of my information. But I said, "Oh, really? No wonder why these judges have God complexes." I'm telling you, we're gonna have to put a change to that. Because the way that they speak to people in that courtroom, and even to myself, I'm like, these people have God complexes. I know a judge, but the thing about it is that people, what's the word I want to say? They vote for y'all. They elect y'all to be judges. Like, who said that you hire even the president? You can be impeached too. You can be replaced too. Everybody's job is replaceable. So, what Mona wants to do after all of this is said and done, and I go before my jury, because come trial, I opted out for a jury because I'm not going to choose no judge, because you will get, it's not even a 50-50 for real. It's like a 70-30. 70% of them are a hot mess and they're corrupt, and 30% of them are righteous judges. But it depends on what mood that they're in. And I think that every single judge needs to be held liable and accountable too for their actions. And if you know something fishy is going on, you need to call it out. You don't need to say, well, you're saying the wrong word. And, as a judge, you know what's going on. You see the BS. But a lot of them closed the blind eye. And it wasn't just me. It was just sitting back, and I would see how other people would go up and how these judges would do things. Well, we're going to have to put a change to that. Because what I am proposing that needs to happen is that these judges need to be audited. And what I mean by audited is they need, how they have those secret shoppers. Like, say, if you're working in retail, they'll show up to see if you're doing your job. Well, when you go before a judge, usually in the in the courthouse, they have all of these people that's sitting around waiting to see the judge for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, and usually the judge will ask for a time, and you'll give the time for that particular docket. Well, I'm thinking, not even thinking, and I hope these judges are looking, but what we need to do is we need to have some regular citizens, at least 3, to come and sit as if they're just one of those people, just blending in with the rest of the people, and watch this judge. See how this judge interacts. See if this judge is disrespectful, and they need to put down their performance, because if they find that their performance is biased, trifling, or any other word that is not obtaining and not upholding to the law and the abiding citizens, they need to be removed. We need some really good judges. So I hope everybody's looking at this. Maybe you say, shoot, maybe I want to be a judge. We need some righteous judges, not some judges who think I can do anything and everything I want. There was one judge, I don't know if his name was Valentine, I don't know who he was, but I walked up in his little courtroom, and that's another thing they do too. When they see that your case is a little complex, they'll remove you from the crowd, and they'll put you in this little, it's like I don't want to say it's the judge chambers, but it's the judge personal room. And ain't nobody in there to witness anything that's being said. Not even on record. And I'm like, really? Okay. So we're going to have to change that. Yeah. We're going to have to change that. Because The way this entire system is ran, it's corrupt. So anyway, let me go back before I get flashbacks. Let me go back to so what was said. So yeah, I got physical, legal, I got sole custody of Symphony. And I said, okay. And you have to pause for a minute, like, all this time in less than 10 minutes. I get that. And so, and the guardian ad litem, you know, when he stood up, Your Honor, I've never seen it like this. I called the board. You hear that, y'all? He was so afraid because I'm suing him that he called the board, and the board told him, the board told me to just don't say nothing. Yeah, because you know what's going to happen? Not the, is it the board? Not the board. It was called, what is it called? The bar, not the bar association. When you, I forgot the name of those people. Y'all know who I'm talking about. When you basically call and complain about some lawyers and their illegal activities. Well, I'm sure that when they do look into the information, they will realize this is the same woman who actually put a complaint in about these attorneys. And now you hear, now you're telling this attorney, don't say a word. Just don't say a word. It doesn't matter because I'm skipping over them and going straight to the source. We going in front of a jury. So, okay, so let me fast forward that. So now that y'all know I got legal custody, praise God. God is so good. And my husband didn't show, and I'm going to tell you the reason why he didn't show. The reason why he didn't show, I didn't find out until like a week later. He was in jail. Yes, jail. Why was he? I got a call from another county that was trying to get me to go against my husband to retrial, and I said, look, I just got custody of my daughter. I'm trying to get out of this state. And I'm like, wait a minute, where is he? And when they told me that, I said, what? Like, he don't do no jail. Like, why is he in there? Well, when my husband was supposed to do anger management classes, because of this situation, see, it's a lot of stuff y'all don't know. He appealed it. And when he appealed it, remember, he don't like to show. He feels like, shoot, I ain't showing up for this either. Well, Virginia don't play. Virginia's Commonwealth. And if y'all know VA don't play. You don't show up for a particular court case, they are coming after you. And they are going to lock you up. And so that's exactly what happened. Because he appealed something but didn't show up for his own appeal. The boys came and they locked him up. And I was like, what? And so I'm like, nah, I don't want him up in no daggone jail. I mean, come on now. But then I had to look up. I was like, Lord. Like, you see how everything switched? The attorneys got this removed. Now they shaking in their boots. My landlord is being sued. And my husband is in jail. I mean, he out now, though. I mean, he was in there for just a week. But yeah, when they called me, I said, oh, nah. And so so he decided to go ahead and take that anger management class. And so they decided to let him out, which I'm happy for him. Now, one of you ladies asked me this question. Mona, are you getting a divorce? No. No, y'all. I'm not getting a divorce. I know y'all like, after everything you did, after he done left, after the lawyers, after he done turned his back, after y'all done got evicted, after he done changed the bank account, girl, and you still gonna stay with him? Are you crazy? Well, it's just that, I took this covenant. I took this covenant before God that said for better. And we had some really good rock out days that we was just rocking shows. We in the house partying. We bunned up. We going to movies, dinners, and things like that. And we just enjoying the pregnancies and BFPs and around family. And just, we had some really good days. We had some for better days and for worse. Now, the worst days is this. But we're getting, I see God's hand in it. And sometimes I say, Lord, I know you are bigger than big. But Father, I want to know how you going to cover this. How are you going to cover this entire situation with love. Like, how? How? Like, this is what people throw in the towel for. But I have to keep on believing and keep on praying. And I'm going to tell you another thing, too. God has been giving me dreams about my husband. And I'm not like, I know y'all like, okay, what type of dreams? Okay, I would have dreams about his state. And I don't think I've ever explained to y'all the dreams. But, okay, I'm going to give you a prime example. I had a dream one time that I was in the passenger side of this black car. But this car was like it was a sports car, and the whole field, like the car, while driving, I wasn't even driving. I didn't even see who was driving, but I was on the passenger side. The car was black, and it was on white snow, and it was like acres and acres and acres, like a whole road of acres of snow, and the car was like, it was just going so fast, and I was in the passenger side, and the next thing you know, I was on the outside of the car. But while the car was going, I'm on the outside like this, just going with it. And I put my hand in front of the car, like the nose of the car. And this was like a black sports car. And I was trying to slow it down, but the car was kind of fishtailing, like, but it was still going straight. And just imagine, I'm on the outside of it, but I'm riding with it. I'm like, but I'm slowing it down. And I realized that the car represented my husband. And that's just his state. But me praying and everything, it's slowing it down. That was one dream. Another dream I had is, was I write things on my mirror, like God bless this house, or I write things like, how they say when you see something over and over again, you put it in the back of your mind, like I am that healthy and things like that. So I would write things and scriptures on my mirror, and this is in real life. And so in my dream, I walked inside my husband's room. I never even seen his room before, and I saw that it was writing on his wall. The writing it turned red, then it turned green. And then I watched him walk. It was like I'm looking at my husband, and I watched him walk in the room. And while he's walking in the room, I'm looking at him. And I wanted to say to him, I love you. But I knew not to say that because I knew it was going to make him upset. So I just sat there and I just stared at him. And while I was looking at him, he turned into like 4 different people. Like it was him, but he turned into like 4 different people. I mean, and I can see that it was like he was being controlled by something. Like it was not him, but it was him, if you understand what I'm saying. So that was one dream. Then it was another dream where he was holding Symphony, and I was screaming at him on the outside of the car, and he was holding Symphony, and I'm screaming and screaming and screaming. And then he was like, why are you screaming at me? And then I just stopped. And then he got in the passenger side of the vehicle with Symphony, and I just drove off. So, and I mean, I even had dreams where, in my dream, he didn't want to be with anybody else but his wife, sexually. And I was like, what? I would wake up from these dreams. So I think God is telling me, no, okay. So the dream about the mirror, when I looked at that, I was just like, in my dream, I was like, we're connected. And I really believe that. I know y'all like Mona. No, y'all. I mean, God has been giving me a lot of different dreams. But that dream stood out. I've even had dreams about one of the orders I put in. I was talking to my mother and was like, I should have did this. And then I woke up like, well, why, Lord, would I need to do that? And when I went ahead and put that order in, that's when everything got shut down. And I was like, wow, like God will give you dreams. And we have to pay attention to them and ask God, what's the meaning of these dreams? Also, too, like, for instance, if I don't see any activity of what he's doing, I also recently had a dream that he was he was like suicidal. And so I prayed and prayed and asked God to just protect him, to heal his body and his mind. I mean, these are things that the Lord has given me, and I believe that when you do become one, you become connected, and so you know when something isn't right. Like when he was in there for a whole week, I was like, in my heart, I was like, something's not right. And I'm like, Lord, please reveal to me, where is he? Where is he? And so that's when it was revealed where he was located at. And so, I'm still praying that God is going to cover this with love. I don't know how he's going to do it, but I'm just believing it. And I have to tell myself, Mona, sometimes it upsets me, because I'm like, my landlords, they tore our family up to the point of what he has been through, what I have been through, and what their granddaughter has gone through. And my landlord, he knows what he needs to do in order to fix it and to make it right. He knows what he needs to do. And so, I'm praying that, God just covers this situation with love. It's the same thing when Joseph's brother sold him for a couple of coins. He forgave them. And yeah, I forgive, and I'm going to have to learn how to forgive. And I've been battling with myself and my thoughts. But, I know that God is bigger than what I've been through. And if it wasn't for some of the things that I've gone through, I would have never known some of these things, or now pursuing these things, far as the court systems now, how I know it needs to be changed, and how I'm going to be pursuing that aspect of trying to we need to put something called Mona's Law. Everything needs to be on the record, okay? And everybody from the attorneys to the judges, everybody need to be held accountable. Not because of my situation, it's because you are not above the law. And you cannot use or corrupt the system. And another thing about this attorneys, don't get me wrong, there was one lady who reached out to me. She was an attorney and was like, look, I'm in Florida, but I will look over your stuff if you need me to. There are some good attorneys that are out there. But we have to understand, too, that we the people are supposed to be able to go before a judge. And we are supposed to be able to get... we're supposed to be able to be vindicated, I don't know if that's the right word, by truth. You know what I'm saying? We are supposed to get that truth. And when people do things, and I told this one judge, I said, you know what they say, if somebody do something wrong to you, tell it to the judge. And he said, that's exactly what you're supposed to do. But some judges refuse to listen or hear because they're so used to being around these attorneys. They see them all the time. That when I had went to court that day that I was letting you ladies know, and even though the attorneys removed themselves, I still needed to go down on record. This is the reason why they removed. This one judge, she was like, well, they already removed their sales, so I can't hear this unless the other party's been served. I said, he has been served. Those were his attorneys. He got the notice. Well, they're no longer his attorneys now. I think everybody in this courtroom knows that the Vulgar Man Group is no longer representing him, so it's no point of even touching it. Oh, really? So y'all dragged me up and down. And she laughed. And I wanted to say so bad, Your Honor, what's funny? You think it's funny I got my daughter here in her stroller, and I was basically dragged up and down by 3 attorneys, and because I put an emotion and they hurry up and skip the scene, nobody wants me to talk about it now? You think that's funny? And she had her little pit bull, which was the sheriff in front, with her little whatever. And I'm like, see, y'all need to be held accountable. Y'all need to be held accountable. But, yeah, so that's pretty much what's going on. So I'm still praying for my marriage. I am. I'm still, there's still a lot of things that I have to get right health-wise. And, I'm doing my juicing regimens and stuff, and seeking God even more. The business is awesome, y'all. It's taking off. And so we are in the process right now of getting a grant so we can do some studies on kids in these schools and their thought patterns and everything. And so God is really, he's pushing me into a whole nother direction. But I thank him. I thank him so much for his grace and his mercy and what he's done. I thank you ladies for all of your prayers. So no, I'm not getting a divorce. I'm not gonna get a divorce, I'm like, Lord, how you gonna cover this, Father? How you gonna cover this? And so I'm still praying for him. I'm still praying for my husband. I'm still praying for his health. And I think that once he comes to, once that he gets the help, then maybe he can realize what happened. But if you have people that's in your ear that's saying you did nothing wrong or it was all big, then that's not going to help it. And I will say that my landlords, when people try to come in between a marriage, it backfires on them. But, all of this could have been avoided if he just got the help that he needed to get. So I'm not ashamed. He probably feels some type of way because I did go public about what we were dealing with. But, I went public about my losses. So I have to tell y'all the truth that bipolar is an illness and it is real. So if you meet somebody that got that, I ain't saying run, but you need to understand what bipolar is. There's a bipolar 1 and a bipolar 2. It deals with a lot of things, schizophrenia, psychosis could be added into that, but that's a whole nother video. I have to congratulate my pregnancies, my pregnant mamas. I'm about to get back up in here in the loot. Gosh, I haven't even seen my godbaby in New York. Got a godbaby that's on the way, come at the end of April, so I'm super excited about that. Symphony is getting big, y'all. Like, she just amazes me. She amazes me. And so I guess my next couple of videos I'll be talking more so about motherhood and what I've learned so far and the do's, the don'ts, and all of that great stuff. And I thank God. I'm telling you, after everything, and it's still not over because, like I said, I'm still going to court come January, and then I have to go back to court because of these attorneys. But it ain't nothing. It's no comparing like losing my babies. I thank God that I have my Symphony. And I was just speaking to my goddess the other day, and God gave me a vision. I had a vision of Melody, and I saw her just as clear in her face, in her hair, and I was just like, that's my Melody. And I just had a vision. God is just, y'all, I can't even describe it. But we got some things we need to talk about. And so I'm going to start doing Mona Couch Talk, cup of teas or whatever like that. If there's anything that you would like me to touch bases with, please leave your comments in the section, and then I will definitely touch bases on that. Congratulations for my TTC mamas. They got the BFPs. Keep trying. Congratulations for, oh my gosh, one of you ladies, I didn't even know you was pregnant, girl. And when I saw that you was being prepared for delivery, you know I'm talking about, Chicago mama, I was like, praise God, because I remember when you dealt with your losses and talking to you about getting a Hannity tag, and you got it, and you get congratulations on your baby girl. You know who you are. But until then, ladies, ta-ta for now.